Antoine Babyharry, good afternoon.
Give me your bio. Tell me a bit about yourself.
I grew up in Midwest in the States, Des Moines, Iowa, and, had very lovely parents. Name, it comes from Babyharry. My grandmother used to call my father Babyharry because he's Harry Calloway Jr. My father was a very hard-working, successful man in the 1940s, 50s, 60s. I honor my father and my mom. And Daddy in 1943, he had a big coal company. And by the time he was 24 years old, he had 10 trucks. And he's very successful, hardworking. And I with my music career and my music business, I take my parents' work ethic and work really hard like they did and make things happen.
Now, when did you get into music?
Late in life, actually. I I started working for Delta Airlines in Oregon. And that job took me all over the world, and I worked for them for a good 9 years. I lived in Portland, San Francisco, L.A., Japan. Kind of like to travel, but I always liked music, and I just didn't have the guts to really get out there and do it at that time. And my friends kept badgering me about playing music. And then one day, I got booked in this little place. It was in 2000. And I played at this little place called The Main, my first gig, and I was nervous to play in front of all these people and what have you, but I kind of liked the fact that people were really getting something out of my music. So I just kept at it, and a year later, I got a phone call from a man I never heard of. I didn't know who he was, and he had a deep voice. His name was the legendary Leon Russell.
Oh, wow.
And I opened that show, and his daughter and bandmates of 23 years said he's never talked to anybody quite as long as he talked to me, and he gave me a lot of good advice. And he looked me in the eyes and said, "Thank God for keeping rock and soul alive." And he had this big white beard and this big top hat, and I thought he was just so cool. And a lot of chain of events just made me really, really believe in myself, and I've gotten pretty far with it in a short time. I actually played July 18th at this festival and made friends with a man called Sonny Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
And he got his start playing with B.B. King, and it's just really kind of funny when you put your heart and soul and do what you believe in, how things can fall into place. I've opened up for 5440 and, Ben Harper and some big acts, and, I don't have an agent. I don't care to have one at this point because I've done this grassroots, and I've literally just make phone calls, and I'm a good booking agent for myself. And I play 200 nights a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it gives me something to do every day.
Well, what's a day like? I mean, obviously that's your job, and that's what you do at night. I mean, how do you occupy yourself like in a day in Whitehorse,
Well, I explain how this works with me. The only time I really get rest, I would say, when I'm home. I have an office at home, and I sleep usually between 4 o'clock and 11, 4 in the morning and 11. Do all my phone calls during the day and all my bookings. I book myself way in advance. Do all my graphics, posters, what have you. And I always keep myself busy. There's always something to do. I don't get much sleep sometimes, but when I'm touring, I don't take a computer with me or anything, and I kind of shut that end of it off. And then I focus on my shows, and I have to give the people what they want, and that's what my music's all about. When I'm on the road, it's like a lot of traveling. You spend more time on the road than actually playing. 3 hours a night you play, and then sometimes you're off to the next place. It's funny, everywhere I go, it's like all these Western Canada from probably Whitehorse to High Level to Fort McMurray, all the way down to Lethbridge and Cranbrook and all these places. I can tell you where every gas station is and every good place to eat and everything else.
Can you tell me, pick one good night from the last from your touring, like one great show? Tell me a bit about that.
Well, I had an awesome show at the Starlight Casino. I bought in the big guns. What I mean is I have some fine musicians who work with me, and it was a killer show. It was a killer show. Yeah, Ben Harper, and meeting these people, and they're just as humble as anybody, really.
Well, what do you want to accomplish with your music? Like, what's the end goal?
The end goal is to take it as far as I can take it, and to wake up the world, because I think a lot of the music today is, I hate to say it, but when you turn on the radio a lot of times today, it's sort of like fast food of music, and it all sounds the same.
Mm.
Here today and gone tomorrow. I like artists like, I love Jimi Hendrix. Absolutely adore Jimi Hendrix and his music. I grew up watching James Brown. Think my favorite group ever is Sly and the Family Stone.
Yeah.
So it's old school, and that music you can put on today, and you can put on 100 years from now, and it's still just as good as brand new. And so I just try to offer the world, music that my company is Babyharry Entertainment, music for your soul, and that's what I just try to offer: good music that people can groove to and get something out of.
Is that what you think is missing from that sort of modern music today? Is it like a soul?
Yeah, because as you know, music is powerful. It can take you back to when you were a little kid. It can take you to high school. It can take you to anything. It can take you places.
Is there anybody that is making music these days that you look towards as someone?
Yeah, well, one in particular, Ben Harper.
Mm-hmm.
I really